Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and I had a request to do a colored pencil tutorial, but geared towards stamping. So what I'm using here, I stamped out this pansy stamp from Personal Stamp Exchange in gray ink on a piece of creamy yellow cardstock. This is, I think it's So Saffron by Stampin' Up. It's a few years old. It's probably discontinued because that seems to be the way I roll, but it's just a pale yellow cardstock. You could obviously use cream if you want. And what I did was I chose a kind of a medium pink, it's actually neon pink. I've got this a dahlia purple, which is kind of like fuchsia color, and I've got white, and then I've got a buttery yellow. This is called a sunburst yellow. I have neon yellow, chartreuse, olive green, and black grape. You can substitute these for the colors that you have that are close or the colors that you prefer. So basically what we're going to do is start with with our fuchsia color. This is again dahlia purple if you're using Prismacolors, and I'm going to go in and add the dark parts to one of these pansy petals. I give a couple done on the bottom just so I could work out my colors and have a little bit of a reference. And I'm working on a block of wood. I actually was working on the lid of my new pencil box, and that's Masonite, and that worked so well. But I really want to have this gray backdrop because it just helps the camera adjust to the colors a little bit better. So that's why I'm not working on that here. I found this piece of poplar plywood, or birch plywood, I guess, in the scrap wood bin, so I thought, well, that'll work pretty good for this size paper. Alright, then I'm going to go over it with this neon pink. The back two petals here that I'm working on are going to be completely covered in this, but the front three will have some yellow in there, so I will not go over the entire thing with the pink. Just kind of up here, up to the edges of the petals. The middle is going to have yellow. Or I should say the part of the petals closer to the center are going to have yellow. So I'm having myself a little craft break, 'cause I don't know if I'll get back down to my studio today. I have so much housework to catch up with from the weekend, and a trip to the post office, and probably a trip to the eyeglass repair shop, because my son's eyeglasses, little screw came out of it. Don't you hate it when that happens? I always think I should get a couple extras when when I'm there, just because. Of course, I'd probably lose them before I ever needed them, so oh well, not a big deal. Alright, so I put a little olive green and then a little chartreuse over that and blending it out to the center. Now I'm going to grab my white, and as you can see, my white pencil is very well used. Here's a tip. White pencils tend to break more than any other color because the lead is so soft. So if you find that you keep sharpening it and keep sharpening it and the lead keeps falling out and it's driving you bananas, try sharpening it from the other end, and that'll get you by until you can get out and buy a new pencil. But you know, I usually have several white pencils in my stash because I use them a lot. I'm going to use them as a blender today, and sometimes I use the colorless blender, but this is going to add a lot of nice depth to my picture, and it's going to help those petals look really silky, so that's why I'm using the white. I'm here blending in my colors. I'm really filling in the tooth of the paper here. This Stampin' Up! Cardstock does have a little bit of a tooth to it. It's really nice for colored pencil, but I think most cardstock, except for the super smooth, the really expensive stuff you use for markers, that's not going to work so well with colored pencil because it's just too smooth. Paper Tray ink cardstock is also really good for colored pencil because it has a little bit of tooth to it. Okay, now I'm going to go in and redefine those shadows with my nice fuchsia color here, dahlia purple. According to Prismacolor. You can see how you really start to get a nice glow building with your colors. I'm zoning out. I'm in the coloring zone. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this in the 20-minute time frame of my video, but I'll do my best. But if not, I'll make sure I do some leaves too, and you'll get to see exactly how everything works together. And also, I don't like to use too many colors at once because I think it kind of gets muddy and isn't so vibrant, and also looks a little discordant. Now look at that. When I go back over with this, I'm pulling up the vibrancy of that other purple. I still have the opacity because of the white, but it's really brightening up a bit. If you find that like a couple days later you look at your colored pencil artwork and it's got a haziness to it, simply just wipe it with a tissue or paper towel or a cotton rag. It'll the brightness will come back out. All right, now I want to add the little black streaks. I'm not using black though, I'm using purple grape or black grape, so it's more of a purple color. You can use any deep purple as it goes over the I think I want to sharpen that a little bit, because when you color over the yellow, it actually mixes and it makes it look black. This color is very transparent and it's going over the opaque yellow. And then I can also use this color, because it is a shade of purple, to go in and add a little more shadow in the back here and separate those petals a little bit. And it gives us a little more depth. Maybe a little shadow here to divide those petals up. And on the center, this little flap here, I'm going to color it yellow and then go over it with white. They look pretty white, but you don't want to have it too stark or it just doesn't look that good. I think in all actuality it is quite bright white, but sometimes you use your artistic license to make something look a little bit nicer. Alright, so that's how you do the pansy. And you know, you can vary your colors from flower to flower so you get a little more interest, as I did here. And for the flowers, the leaves, I'm gonna go in with my olive green. And anything that's kind of, there's a petal touching it, it's kind of getting overlapped by a petal, I've got it a little bit darker. And then I'm easing up on my pressure to color it to the edge. So I'll have something to blend into, but it's not going to be really dark. And there, so you blend over, you get that nice glow of color. I'm not a big fan of using solvents with my colored pencils. I know a lot of people like to use Gamasol or terpenoid or odorless mineral spirits or Goo Gone to make their colored pencils look more like markers, and that's great. If you want to do that, go for it. That technique works best on white paper because you will be making the colors very transparent. I prefer to use them thickly on colored paper because I just like that. I like that look. I have markers if I want to use markers. I have watercolors if I want to use watercolors and have something transparent. So when I'm using colored pencil, this is the way I prefer to work. But you know, if you only have colored pencils, you don't have markers, give the technique a try where you use some Goo Gone or odorless mineral spirits, because that's going to make your supplies go further. And you know, I know a lot of people get started out in the hobby and they're so overwhelmed with everything that's out there, and there's so much fun stuff to try, and you want to get this look and that look, and you know, you don't want to go nuts buying new materials because you're going to feel real frustrated if you don't, you know, if you get them all and you can't use them, or you don't know how, or something else new is always going to be coming out that you'll want. So I recommend that, you know, see what you can do with the materials you already have. I've been using colored pencil, these Prismacolors, since I was 5. Not all of these. I don't know, that white one could have been around when I was 5. I'm not sure, because I do have some really stumpy little pencils in my case that have made that have lasted all these years that I haven't used up yet. So I really feel like when I color with these pencils, I'm coloring with an old friend. It brings back some really nice memories. I remember taking large poster sized pieces of paper and just drawing out huge Disney characters and coloring them, and I mean, it would take days to color them, but I remember making these huge posters of the Little Mermaid and characters for my sister's bedroom. She would always ask me to draw her something, and I did it all with colored pencil. That when I look back, I'm like, why didn't I paint that? Oh my gosh, that took me forever. But hey, you know what, growing up in the country keeps me out of trouble. It kept me out of trouble, definitely. The art. Great reason to get your kids involved in art. Keep them out of trouble. And it's something you can always do. You know, you might get older and you may have health problems, but you can always do art. You can always use your colored pencils. You can always do watercolor. You know, you could be allergic to fragrance and scents and environmental things like that, but you could still use colored pencils and watercolors. So you know, that's also something to think about. if you're, you know, sitting there watching the video and you're like, boy, oh boy, I wish I had the energy to do those things Lindsay's doing. Well, pick up some pencils. You know, they don't have to be Prismacolor. You can go to Staples, get some Prang. They're a student brand that are actually very good. You know, sit down on the couch, put like a little lap desk on your lap, and, you know, start coloring. You can print out free images from the internet. You don't have to go buy stamps. You could just freehand stuff. You could, you know, I love to look through the seed catalogs to get inspiration. You know, you can do that while you're watching TV. You can do that if you're not feeling very well and you're homesick. You know, it takes your mind off your troubles. I used to teach at a senior center, and the women that took my classes would say, I feel great. I can't worry when I'm painting. And it's true, you can't. Your brain kind of goes on a little vacation and it goes to happy art land, and, you know, your worries just kind of fade away. I tend to be very high strung. I tend to be anxious, and, you know, I tend to worry quite a bit. So when I'm here with my paints and my pencils, that goes away. And, you know, if you're the type of person that gets kind of wound up and anxious, then I think you would really benefit from doing some art. It's a very good thing, as Martha would say. I love the way complementary colors look together. This yellow right next to that purple just really pops, doesn't it? And you'll get faster. You'll learn little shortcuts, little cheats, you know, as you go. It's like, well, I can just color all these yellow parts in right now at once. You can go over the whole card coloring all your yellow parts and go over do all your blending at once instead of going from flower to flower. But most importantly, do it so it's fun for you. You know, if it's fun to take your time and spend an hour coloring something, do it that way. If you'd rather just, you know, rush through it and get it on a card, then that's the way you should do it. You know, you don't have to follow anybody's rules. You're grown up. It's your art, even if you're not a grown up, even if you're one of the kids that watch my channel. It's your art. It's your rules. You do it however you want to do it. I'll give you some tips and advice and show you how I do it, but hey, you're the only one you have to please at the end of the day. You may have to please your art teacher, but yeah, you probably do what your art teacher says if you try to please her, if you got a grade staked on it. But you know what? Just have fun. That's the purpose of this type of art, is to enjoy, have fun. I always love the idea of art like this, because honestly, when you're making a card, you get to enjoy it while you're making it. Then you get to send it away and somebody else gets to enjoy opening it and reading it. So, I mean, it's just, it brings so much joy to so many people. And you might say, well, I'm not an artist, I'm just a card maker. Well, you've made something that's moved people and brought joy to them. I think that's art. I think we can go ahead and call that art. That's what I think anyway. All right, I'll do a little bit of that olive green in the middle. A little bit of the chartreuse. And there's nothing special about the colors I'm using. If you don't like this, if you'd rather have more of a lavender color flower, go ahead and use shades of lilac and lavender. That is fine. You just use the same, you know, the same principles. You know, you have your kind of mid-range color, your dark color, and then your highlight color. With the little veining here, you probably want to sharpen your pencil a little more frequently than I do, just so you can get a nice crisp line. And you know what, we are going to get this all colored. It's only 13 minutes into it. I'm sure some of you have gotten bored and left, and hey, that's all right. But for those of you sticking around, that's okay too. You can see me finish it up. My mother is having a birthday this month, and I'll probably put this on a card for her. Although she just recently got a computer in the last month or so she might be listening, so maybe I shouldn't. She might be watching. Hi, Mom! If you're watching. Oh my gosh, I'm sure she has better things to do than to watch my YouTube videos. Especially since I put out so many of them. Oh, she goes, I saw you on the computer, Lindsay. On the YouTube. I had your sister come over and show me how to use that. Said, can you find Lindsay on that thing for me? Yes. I'm so glad I wasn't a teenager in the internet years, I can tell you that much. That would not have been good. right. A little more pink over here. Okay, let's see. So, you can go in and add any other little shadows, just layering colors. You can get by with just a few pencils and layer your colors. Now, the word pansy here, I do want to color that, and I think I'm going to use this dahlia purple, so I do want to sharpen it a little bit so I can get into those fine little lines. Let's really grab my other sharpener because this one I don't think is the best. Yeah, I am going to grab my other sharpener. That one was, I dug that one out of the kids section because it fit in my little travel box, but I think I'm going to ditch that one because I don't want to ruin my pencils. It's funny though, I found this sharpener. I was doing my daughters had reports due, and they were using some of my other colored pencils on their reports, and I got a little sharpener that I think was from the Dollar Tree, and it was like in a pack of 12 or something for $1. I'm not kidding. And I used that thing, and that thing works so good. I was like, oh my word, you never know. You just never know. So there you go. We've got our lovely little image that's ready to go on a card. You could die cut a pretty, shape around there if you want. If it had a big enough die. Or, you know what, I think if I've spent this much time coloring it, I probably would just trace a template if I wanted to put it in a pretty shape, just so I don't mess it up by mistake and cut through that. Because that takes us a while to color. We're coloring this for about 20 minutes, so we want to make sure that it makes it to the card all right. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and you won't miss any other videos. And if there's anything you'd like to see, leave a comment and I'll add it to my request list. I can't promise when I'll get to it, but I do try to get to the all the things that are requested. It does take me a while. Sometimes I have a long list, but if there's something you want to see, absolutely leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.